Welcome back to day 11 of the men's 2020 Australian Open. In this video I'm going to be reviewing the first men's semi-final that took place this morning. Novak Djokovic against Roger Federer. It was the 50th meeting between the pair, with Djokovic edging the head-to-head 26-23 coming into this 50th meeting. Federer hasn't beaten Djokovic at a Grand Slam since 2012, so the stats didn't look good for Federer coming into this match. Last year they obviously played that Wimbledon Classic final when Federer really should have won. He had 2 championship points on his serve, but Djokovic fought back and won the deciding match tiebreak to claim another Wimbledon title and close the gap on Federer. From the start of the draw, it looked like Djokovic and Federer would meet in the semi-final. That proved to be the case. They had two very different routes on the way. Djokovic sort of cruised to his side of the draw, got better as the week progressed. Really served very well all week and cruised through to the semi-final stages very comfortably, whereas Federer overcame a number of hurdles, saved many match points, 7 match points against Sangren, recovered from 8-4 in a match tiebreak against John Millman. At the end of the day he got there, he reached the semi-final stages. I think it's been a good tournament for Federer. Likewise for Djokovic, very good tournament for him so far. As we know, as Djokovic, when the tournament reaches the business end, he always seems to up his game and really match and better his opponents at the biggest stages of the match. But Federer, I think, I said at this pre-tournament that for Federer to have any chance of progressing through the likes of Djokovic and Nadal and the Medvedev's teams, I think he always had to cruise through the opening week. He had to be playing well from the start, starting matches quick, serving very well. Which he has done over the past 18 months. I was expecting Federer's serve to aid him a lot better this week than it has. It hasn't looked vintage Federer at all. He had to time the ball particularly well and be aggressive, keep the rallies short, and he hasn't really done any of them things all week. He's had a very favourable draw against Millman. I thought he was very poor in that match. He got outplayed for the majority of it. Luckily for Federer, that Millman really choked at the end. Federer did play a good back end of that match deciding tiebreak, but Millman 8-4 up should have won that one, so he got out of jail there. Then on to Sangren, he got out of jail again. Obviously 7 match points Sangren had, no excuses really, just failed to deliver on their match points. Sangren just went against his plan A and was waiting for Federer, missed it and never come, which allowed Federer back into the match, and he won that one of 5 sets. But them things don't help. I think Federer spent nearly 3 hours extra on court than what Djokovic had. He struggled with the groin injury in the previous round, and it made Djokovic a huge favourite coming into this meeting. So we didn't really get treated to the classic that we have in the past between these two legends of the sport. Going into the match, I did make Djokovic a huge favourite. I said he would win in straight sets. I thought Federer could win one if it went to a tie break, and he served really well if he started quick, and he did do that, but it still wasn't enough to win a set. So just talking through the match in set 1, Federer came out like a house on fire. In fairness to him, he timed the ball. Obviously he's lost his first set in the last couple of rounds. I think Djokovic was anticipating him to start slow. How bad was his groin, how bad was his movement, and in the first set it looked like he was Federer back in his prime, rolling back the years. He was very aggressive off the return. He was serving well. His backhand and forehand started extremely well, and he was hitting the lines. He was really taking the time away from Djokovic. Djokovic didn't start well at all. I think he was almost surprised by the level that Federer brought out in the court in that first set, and all credit to Federer. He took real advantage of it. I was quite shocked and disappointed by Djokovic during that first set. He was moaning at his box a lot, and I think it was time to just focus on the match. If Federer's turned up in peak condition, then that's the Federer you've got to face. You've got to beat the man that's put in front of you. There was many rumours before the match that Federer wouldn't actually make it and he'd have to pull out. But if Federer turns up, then he's turned up because he thinks he's got a chance of winning the match, and that's the man Djokovic has got to beat in the day. But Federer, as I say, he played very well in the first set. He broke Djokovic in his first 2 opening service games. He took a 4-1 lead, and he actually had 3 break points to take it to a 5-1. But Djokovic found his serve from somewhere. He found a little bit of form to hold the 5-2, and I think that was a massive turning point in the match. I know it was very early on, but I think if Federer got to 5-1 with a double break, he would have won that first set. And then you just never know if you could have won that first set 6-1, and then Djokovic would have been really chasing the match from that point. If Federer could have nicked the second close set, he obviously had the crowd behind him. Had he have won that first set, the match could have got very interesting. But it was 5-2 when Federer was serving for the set, and Djokovic brought him to love. Federer seemed to get very tight. All of a sudden his timing seemed to go. His first serve just ejected him completely, and Novak took complete advantage. He started to return the ball, hitting the baseline, and his attitude just seemed to completely change. He got into game mode, got into that robot style that he does, where he doesn't make any unforced errors, and he's impossible to get the ball past, and Federer seemed to really struggle from that point. Did eventually go to a first set tie break, and if you're ever wondering why Djokovic is, in my opinion, the best player in the world, just watch him in that first set tie break. Just watch him in the tie breaks against Federer at last year's Wimbledon final. I think he's made something like 6 errors in 4 tie breaks against Federer. And the first set tie break today was just a classic example of how you become a championship winning tennis player, and how he's won 16 Grand Slams. He didn't play well at all, Djokovic, in that first set. You could argue it was probably the worst he's played all tournament, and then he produces the best tennis of definitely his best tennis of the week in that first set tie break. So he's gone from one extreme to another, from being barely able to keep the ball on the court in the opening part of the first set, to be not missing at all and finding winners and finding his first serve and returning Federer's serve with aggression and putting Federer right under pressure, despite Federer even making first serves in that tie break. Djokovic just returned them at his feet and just making him play extra ball, and Federer couldn't live with the level that Djokovic got to. I think the final 2 points of that tie break were just on a different level with Djokovic. He played one of the shots of the tournament, coming in to the net and playing a drop shot that Federer just couldn't get to, and it was a quite incredible standard that Djokovic set in that first set tie break, and that's why he is champion. That's why he's taking over the sport at the minute. He's just got that ability to really turn it on for 5 or 6 minutes for a couple of games, and it just swings it in his favour. And when he does really hit top form, there's nobody in the world can even get close to Djokovic. It's an impossible task. In that second set, it was both the intensity wasn't really there. It didn't feel like a classic match. It didn't really feel like a Grand Slam semi-final. I think Djokovic knew after winning the long first set that Federer was never going to really come back, and Djokovic lost his killer instinct. He had a number of opportunities to break Federer and just didn't convert them, despite having second serve returns. Djokovic just didn't seem to be fully in that championship winning mode. In that second set, he had, as I say, a number of looks on the Federer serve, and he could have won that second set 6-1, 6-2 quite easily. He was serving very well, Djokovic, and holding serve easily, but it was a matter of time when he was going to break Federer, but he just didn't seem to convert his opportunities very well today, and that's unlike Djokovic. But I do think Federer's movement and the attitude on the court and just the whole feel of the match, it never felt like a Grand Slam semi-final, as I say. But eventually, again, he produced his best tennis at the biggest point of the set. It was 5-4 to Djokovic with Federer serving, and he produced 2 unbelievable points to break Federer and take it 6-4. And from that point on, it was at the point of no return for Federer. He knew himself that he didn't have the energy, the fitness, and the confidence really to come back against a player of Djokovic's calibre. Djokovic did eventually get an early break in that third set. Again, playing a very, very high class game, high quality game to get the break, and he served it in from there to take it 6-3 and secure a straight sets win over Roger Federer. It's another win for Djokovic over Federer in a Grand Slam. He's becoming a nemesis of Federer now. I think Federer will be sick of facing Djokovic in Grand Slams. If it wasn't for Djokovic, then Federer could have quite easy, another 4, 5, 6 Grand Slams. But while Djokovic is in this side of the drawing in the tournament, then I can't ever see Federer beating him again in a 5-set match. As you say, last year was his best ever opportunity to have 2 championship points on serve, and somehow not win that match is something that Federer will probably never forgive himself for. Even in this match, he should have won that first set. He was playing way better tennis than Djokovic. He was well in control. He's 4, should have went 5-1 up. He went 5-2 up, still 7 for the set. And I don't know whether he's got a mental block about Djokovic, or Djokovic is just a much better player than Federer now, but perhaps both. I think they're both definitely components where Djokovic ups his level to a point that Federer can't live with him. And also Federer goes into matches, I don't think, with a great deal of confidence now against Djokovic. He just knows he's that level above, he's fitter, and he's just got a more consistent game now than Federer. Federer is 38-year-old. You've got to remember that, and what a career he's had, to win 20 Grand Slams. And he's still turning up at Grand Slam events after 3 months off and reaching the semi-final. He's fighting for his life. He's going through 4 and 5 set matches, and still coming out against like men that are 10, 11 years younger, which is an incredible feat for Federer. You've got to give him massive respect for that. But today he was outclassed by a superior opponent. As for Djokovic, I think it was a very strange match. I don't think Djokovic particularly played well, but as I say, I think the intensity and the Federer injury did contribute to that in a massive way. He never really seemed switched on massively in Djokovic in a large part of the match, but when he had to be at the back in the sets and in the tie break, he did switch on and get into game mode and really snatch control of the match. But during this early parts of the sets, it just seemed very it was like an exhibition match almost, that you hold serve, I hold serve, and when Djokovic got opportunities he didn't really jump on them. But at the end of the day, he's through to another Australian Open final. He goes into that final as a massive favourite, facing Dominic Thiem or Alexander Zverev, and that's the main thing. It's about getting the right rest for Djokovic now and preparing for another final on Sunday, and I'm hoping that he wins it, being a Djokovic fan. But that's all for this match review. I will be bringing out a preview for that semi-final later on today, so check out that. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching again.